Ever poured into people and they left? You invested time, you trained them, you gave them opportunities, you thought, this is my team, these are my people. And then out of nowhere, they ghosted you, they betrayed you, they joined another organization, maybe a competitor, or they just disappeared. You sat there thinking, seriously, God, after everything I gave them? If you've ever led anyone in ministry and business in your family, you felt that sting. And I want to tell you something comforting and challenging all at once. You're in good company. Because Jesus, the greatest leader who ever lived, also built a team that left him, doubted him, denied him, and betrayed him. But he still changed the world through them. So if you've ever been frustrated by flaky followers or high turnover, this message is for you, because today I'm going to show you the Master's model. 5 ways Jesus built a team that changed the world. And once you start applying this model, you're not only going to build a stronger team, hopefully you'll build disciples. So let's start with the one thing Jesus did differently, right? Because if we're really honest, leadership can feel super lonely sometimes. You try to motivate people, you cast vision, you plan meetings, you delegate tasks, and somehow it feels like you're dragging a huge wagon uphill. You wonder, why don't people take ownership? Why don't they care as much as I do? And here's the mistake most of us make. We build teams the corporate way, not the kingdom way. We recruit for skills, we delegate for efficiency, we evaluate for results. Jesus didn't do that. He didn't post job openings that said, looking for experienced fishermen. He walked up to ordinary people and he said, follow me. He didn't build an organization. In many ways, he built a family, and that family changed the world. So let's break down how he did it. 5 specific ways you can apply this to your church, your classroom, your business, or even your home. First step, he called, he didn't convince. Jesus didn't chase people. He called them. Follow me. 2 words, no sales pitch. He didn't beg, he didn't bargain, he didn't bribe, he didn't cajole. He gave people the dignity of choice. And that's the first secret to building a loyal team. Call, don't convince, don't try to argue someone into it. Let them know the good, the bad, the ugly about your team, and see if they want to be part of it. If you have to talk someone into joining you, you'll have to keep talking them into staying. When you call someone, you're inviting them into purpose, not pressure. You're saying, I see something in you. God has a bigger plan for your life. That's how Jesus did it. He saw potential where others saw problems. Peter was impulsive. Matthew may or may not have been corrupt if he's a tax collector. James and John seemed like they were hotheads. Thomas was skeptical. Judas, well, that's pretty complicated, right? Jesus didn't pick them for what they were. He picked them for what they could become. So stop looking for perfect resumes. Start looking for willing hearts. You can teach skills. You can't teach calling. Here's a practical example. If you lead a small business, don't just hire people who want a paycheck. Look for someone who really wants a purpose. Ask them in the interview, what kind of impact do you want to make through your work? If you're a parent, don't just assign chores. Invite your kids into the mission. Say, hey, you're not just cleaning this house. You're helping create a peaceful space for our family. Calling creates ownership. Convincing someone, manipulating someone creates burnout. Second step, Jesus invested before he expected. Jesus didn't demand loyalty before demonstrating love. He invested first. He spent time with his disciples, not just teaching, but eating, laughing, walking, camping, traveling. He built connection before he had any correction, right? You want a loyal team? Build relationship before you look for results. Some leaders say, I can't get people to stay committed, but have you invested enough for them to feel cared for? You can't harvest loyalty where you haven't planted time. Jesus washed their feet before they followed his orders. That's a powerful leadership principle. And here's what this probably looks like practically in your church. Don't just train volunteers, eat with them, pray with them, know their kids' names. In your business, don't just celebrate numbers, celebrate people. When someone crushes it, thank them personally. In your home, don't just enforce rules, build relationship. Have fun, share stories. Let your kids see your humanity. When people feel known, they stay through seasons, and this is important. Jesus didn't invest in everyone. He had a huge crowd, and then he had the 72, and then he had the 12, and then he had the inner 3. You can't pour equally into everyone. Focus on the few who multiply your mission. Step 3, Jesus modeled before he delegated. Have you ever told someone, do it like I do it, and they got mad when they weren't able to do it? That's because modeling beats explaining. Jesus didn't just tell the disciples what to do. He showed them. He healed. He preached. He forgave, he endured hardship, and then he said, now you do it. And he didn't give them a textbook, he gave them a template. That's the third principle. Model something before you delegate it to someone else. Too many leaders, myself included very often, skip this step. We hand people tasks that they've never seen done well before, and then we get frustrated when they fail. But Jesus demonstrated kingdom life before he delegated kingdom work. That's why the disciples weren't confused when he said, love your enemies. because they'd already watched him forgive his enemies. They knew what grace looked like because they'd experienced it firsthand. So if you want a team that lives your values, model those values daily. If you want your employees to honor customers, honor your employees. If you want your volunteers to serve with joy, serve them joyfully. If you want your kids to pray, let them see you praying. Your team will imitate what you demonstrate. You teach what you know, but you reproduce who you are. Fourth step, Jesus first empowered, then he released. This is where a lot of leaders get stuck. Jesus didn't just teach his disciples, he trusted them. He sent them out 2 by 2 to preach, to heal, to cast out demons long before they were ready. He knew they'd make mistakes. He knew Peter would talk too much. James and John would ask for thrones. Thomas would overthink everything. But Jesus sent them anyway. Why? Because empowerment requires risk. If you never let people fail, they'll never grow in their faith. When you micromanage, you're not protecting excellence, you're preventing maturity. Jesus gave them authority before perfection. It's huge. He trusted imperfect people with a perfect mission. If you want loyalty, empower your people. Let them own part of the mission. Let them feel the weight and the joy of responsibility. And when they come back with wins, celebrate it. Remember when the disciples returned from ministry trips saying, "Even demons submit to us." Jesus smiled and said, "Don't rejoice that spirits submit to you. Rejoice that your names are written in heaven." He celebrated their growth, and then he recentered their hearts. That's leadership goal. Fifth step, Jesus corrected in private. He affirmed in public. One of the reasons Jesus' team stayed loyal despite their flaws is because he corrected with grace. When Peter messed up, Jesus didn't embarrass him in front of everyone. After the resurrection, he took Peter aside and he said, "Do you love me? Feed my sheep." He asked that question 3 times, right? He restored Peter privately before reassigning him publicly. But when the disciples succeeded, he praised them in public. That's the final step. Correct in private, firm in public. If you flip that order, you'll lose your team's trust because nobody wants to be publicly humiliated. But everyone, most everyone at least, grows under private correction and public honor. Try this. When your team does something great, celebrate them by name. When they drop the ball, talk to them one-on-one. Your words are seeds. You need to sow them very wisely. And here's, almost the humorous part, right? You'll always have a Peter. You'll always have a Thomas. You might even have a Judas. Don't freak out. Jesus did too. And he still changed the world. Of course, he's God and you're not, but your job isn't to eliminate dysfunction. It's to disciple through it. So in closing, how can we build a team that's trustworthy? Here's what I want you to remember. I think you're watching this. You're a leader. Your legacy won't be measured by what you build. It will be measured by who you build, not the what, but the who. Your building may fade, your business may close, your systems may change. All those things will happen in time, right? But your disciples, your team, will carry your impact hopefully into the next generation. That's why Jesus spent more time with his team than in front of the crowds, because he knew you don't build movements through audiences, you build them through relationships. So start today. If you're a pastor, if you're a business leader, if you're a stay-at-home mom who's homeschooling your kids, build a team like Jesus did. Call them, invest in them, model for them, empower them, correct them with grace. If you're a teacher, disciple your students, not just their grades. If you're a business owner, don't just manage employees, mentor world changers. If you're a parent, you're not just raising kids, you're raising future leaders for the kingdom. And if you've been burned before, and we probably all have, if someone left, if someone betrayed you, someone disappointed you, don't give up. Even Jesus had turnover. But the ones who stayed, they turned the world upside down. So stay faithful, keep pouring in, keep building the team God called you to build, because one day you'll look back and realize you didn't just build a team, you built disciples. And that's what changes the world. I hope this short video is helpful to you. If so, consider subscribing or share it with a friend. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.